everyone, I'm Dan Albers, and welcome to This Week in Anderson on USBN Sports with Dingo and the Coach. I am Dingo, and that is the Coach. And we just want to remind everybody, don't forget to subscribe or like to our YouTube channel on This Week in Anderson, Positive Energy, or Dingo and the Coach on YouTube and all the social media platforms. It helps us out to see what we're doing and what's going on. But Steve, our next guest, another one of those great athletes that we've had at McNick, and we've had a run here. We have of the McNick guys here, which is kind of cool to get these guys. And so we're joining with Brian Hiler. He's another one that played football and baseball, and can't wait to talk to him about his career.
Well, it's a run of legends that we've, living legends, and I can't wait to get into his career and what he did after playing in McNick. But yeah, we've had a run.
It's been a crazy run.
And it's been great, and a lot of it's because of Jim Surger. But I mean, what a great thing that we can spread the love, because we're pretty biased with Anderson, but to spread the love across the township is good.
And it seems like it's just been McNick's side love and not a lot of we talked about this off air before we came on.
It was in some of the state's love. Now it's more, we're getting the whole township love a little bit.
Yeah, so as we said, we're joined here by Brian Hiler. Brian, thanks for joining us.
Guys, thanks for having me. One thing you're never going to hear, I heard the words great, athlete, legend, and then my name. Like the things you're never going to hear. I know I'm in the right place. But
as times goes by,
Anderson Township, great to be here. Glad to be on the show. Thank you guys so much for having me. I mean, don't we live in the greatest city?
Oh yeah.
And then in the greatest township, in the greatest city.
That's why we never
And you guys are sitting here talking sports, talking all things Anderson Township.
Yep.
It's so exciting to listen to your podcast, to watch your podcast, because when you think about it, we're in a renaissance right now of Cincinnati sports.
Yeah.
How good are the Bengals?
Yeah, real good.
How good are the Reds? They're young, they're exciting. FC Cincinnati at the top.
Yeah.
Number one seed.
UC Claremont.
UC Claremont. Number one seed. Selection show tomorrow in Virginia, right?
Yep.
Florence Freedom, traditionally in the playoffs, right? Everything that's around here, we're in a renaissance. Everything is at the top of their game. The Cyclones make the playoffs every year. It just seems like UC football. Now we'll give them a pass.
We'll give them 1 year. We'll give them 1 year layoff. That's all I'm going to give.
I mean, we can't really complain though. An Orange Bowl, a Sugar Bowl, a Cotton Bowl.
What a run!
What a run, right? And then Xavier basketball. Again, we live in. I think we take it for granted sometimes.
Yeah.
And then you look, and then the Anderson Township, the pride that everybody has in their sports here in Anderson Township, right? We were talking off air. McNick, Turpin, Anderson. We're bitter rivals on the court, on the field, but man, off of it, we can't wait to see you. And you think about how the businesses here have the pride of Anderson Township. It's Anderson Township Pub, Anderson Townhouse. It's APG, and after you just got done kicking my brains in, right? Like let's go have one at APG. What a township we live in, right? What a township. But glad to be here. Thank you guys for having me.
It's awesome. And we love this too, because it brings back a lot of memories for us to talk about how we experienced the Anderson, McNick, and all that stuff. So let's go back with you and growing up. And I'm not real sure if you did grow up in Anderson or if you moved into Anderson. So kind of talk a little bit about if you did live in Anderson all your life and just about growing up as a kid.
Sure. Started off in Mount Washington. Okay. 4th, 5th grade. Still young enough to not know exactly how old I was, but came into Anderson Township. Had an older brother, younger brother, middle brother, and just the sports in Anderson Township, like we were talking about off air. There was always a Sandlot game going on somewhere. There was Thanksgiving football games everywhere I turned in Anderson Township. And my brothers and I were like a gang. We were just looking for like the next gang in the neighborhood, and then the next gang. And the next thing we wound up at a Sandlot, baseball field, and you played each other against each other and with each other there. And as you know, 10,000 hours of anything is going to make you pretty good. So we played so much wiffle ball. We were helping each other get better. But went to Guardian Angels and played against a lot of guys. Went to IHM. Obviously, Nagel wasn't there at the time. Then went to McNicholas, and that's where from grade schools where guys branch out a little bit. Some guys go to St. X, some guys, go to Anderson, guys and girls.
Right.
Guys and girls go to Turpin, and nothing stays together forever.
Right.
There's no forever in anything. So, it was, you grow up together, right? You tear holes in your jeans together. You cover for each other when you threw balls through the window, of somebody's house. You
I was the fastest to run.
Yeah. You covered for each other.
Yeah.
And then, in high school, they were great battles.
Yeah.
And then, once you graduate high school and move on, you see them again, and you talk about them. They never go away.
Yeah.
They never go away. You talk about those things.
Did all your siblings go to McNick too?
Yes, all my siblings went to McNick. Being the middle one, so we're all 4 years apart. My older sibling, Jay, lives in Atlanta now. And Jeff Bolger, John Goebel, Eric Selzer, some of these guys like Anderson Township legends, great athletes at McNick. Used to just pummel me, right? Like because you're the little brother who wants to play in the football game, and your brother's like, man, you shouldn't, and I should, and no, you shouldn't. And then his friends would feel bad, like I got ran in over the guardrail or into the fence or broke something here or there. But it made you better. And then of course I passed it down to my brother, who's 4 years younger than me, and he went to McNick, so in Guardian Angels. So when he was at Guardian Angels, I was at McNick, and it was just like a lot of people do here.
Right.
You know what I mean? They just kind of pass the torch.
Yeah. Well, you talked about going from neighborhood to neighborhood and finding games, and whether it be wiffle ball or basketball or football or tackle, whatever. Dana, we've never talked about like some of the places around town. Like I remember playing baseball. What was it, Mount Washington Elementary or whatever? With those fields back there, I mean, they were huge back when we were little. And then obviously football at GA. Some of those places like that, Mount Washington. I mean, is that some of the places that...
Coach, it depends. Whatever the season was,
somebody's backyard.
Yes, that was absolutely. It was one, wherever you could find a place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And two, it was depending on season. Yes, like you would jump on Guardian Angels baseball field or Mount Washington's baseball field, and it was just like the movie Wayne's World. People were riding their bike. Hey, time out. You know what I mean? Game on. Car. But Julius Park.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and you'd play basketball. I played basketball, and I was no good. I mean, but that's what all my friends did at the time. So during basketball, that's what I went and did. But you brought a jug of water.
Yeah.
And listen, you just wanted to win, because if you won, you didn't leave the court.
That's right.
If you lost, depending on how nice the weather was that day, is how long you were waiting for your team to get, back to the winners. And you get a little bit antsy, and they got one court. You can't bounce a ball in the sand volleyball court next door at Julius. You know what I mean? So you're just sitting there like.
Did they have Nagel was back
Nagel
there too?
Park.
Because I remember playing at Nagel all the time.
Oh, absolute Nagel, Julius. And again, if one park, like if Nagel was all booked up,
you go to the other one.
Yeah. You just cut through the woods, like, all right, they're both.
Yeah.
Oh man, now we got to get our bikes.
That's right.
Okay, now we got to get our bikes. And mom and dad are like, whoa, where are you going? You know what I mean? But back then they were like, oh, okay, he's just taking his bike.
That's right.
Like, we're just going a little farther.
Yeah.
Both fields are they're double booked.
Yeah. So what was the theme? Was it mainly wiffle ball, or what sports were you playing when you were?
Everything. Kickball, wiffle ball, football. We played a ton of football. I don't know if kids, and I have two boys. This generation will never know.
Nope.
The value of, I don't know what they'd be worth now, but a $6 turbo. Do you remember the turbo football? You could throw the thing.
Oh yeah.
The Nerf turbo.
Like a mile.
You could, even me, who's a terrible athlete, could throw the thing at least 50 yards. You know what I mean? Right. And it totally changed. That's where the air raid came from. The turbo football. So we get a turbo. It was always red and black. You know what I mean? Somebody's dog would take a chunk out of it. We'd go to Woolworths. You know what I mean?
Woolworths.
Up in the beach.
Awesome. Love it.
I don't want to. That's why I wore a hat. I don't want anybody to see my gray hair. I
just got rid of mine.
Nothing to worry about.
But it was just like the movie The Sandlot. You saved up, and we got a turbo. But we did kickball, we did baseball, and when we were done with those, we did all those other crazy games. Ghost in the Graveyard.
Red Rover. Red Rover.
Tag. Freeze tag. Well, how am I going to get out of this if I'm frozen? Right. I know they say athletes are bigger, faster, stronger, but athletes today, they train like crazy, like Rocky on treadmills.
Sure.
Like, but that's where all of our speed came from.
Yeah.
Was we just ran.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you want to be faster? Run, don't get caught. Right. So like, play tag, play freeze tag, play kickball, play wiffle ball, baseball. Yeah, it was really
Kill the man was awesome.
Yeah.
Dodge. You can't do it now. You can't play dodgeball now. You can't play dodgeball now. But we played. We
have to have a helmet and elbow pads and all this stuff now.
Yeah, right.
All right, so let's get into. You go to GA, and then you're on to McNick. What sports did you play at McNick?
At McNick, I played football, baseball religiously.
Okay.
Went out for basketball freshman year. Probably not going to make it. If I am going to make it, I'm going to be the water boy. Okay. Right? Like, I'm never going to. It's going to have to be a blowout either way.
Yeah.
And my first love was always baseball. So this is going to take away from my baseball training. Unbelievable coaches at McNick, as you know. That was a Jerry Durger.
We've talked about that. Legends.
That was a Jerry Durger era.
Yeah.
So when you were committed, you were committed.
Yeah.
And a lot like The Last Dance, the Chris Wilsons, the Dave Gardners, the Mike Amshoffs, the Kyle Blacks. We're like, hey man, we don't care if you're the last guy on the team or not. You're going to put in what the first guy's putting in.
That's right.
So I looked at it as like, it's probably not what I'm going to do. And my kids always rubbed this in. So my senior year, some of the guys were trying to figure, like, we're a little short on money, right? And we're like, how are we going to get in free to all these basketball games?
Okay.
And we're throwing bullpens in the gym at McNick. Cheerleaders walk over. We're like, oh, gee, who hit who? Right? You know what I mean? And you're looking down at your catcher like, okay, which one of you guys? Because, you got 3 AstroTurfs and you got 3 catchers. And I was a pitcher, so I'm looking over like it sells.
What happened?
Like, hey, who hit a cheerleader? We're dead. We're done. And the cheerleaders come over and go, would you guys mind taking a break and helping us do some of these things that can only be accomplished, you know what I mean? Like if we had more cheerleaders. Okay, so what are you talking about? We want you to put your calf down. I'm going to step on it. Then I'm going to step on your shoulder so I can stand on your shoulder. Yeah. Like you would see at a Cincinnati game, right?
Yeah.
So we do that. We do a couple of them. We're like, we'll help you out. And we're kind of learning it. And then the next day, the girls come over and say, hey, listen, we've never had this at the school before. And they're not called cheerleaders, they're called yellmen. We want to start yellmen. So we have 7 cheerleaders. We need 7 of you guys to come out and, we found our way in, right? And we ride the team bus, right? And we get the team meal. And like,
that's
no
awesome.
Kidding. So I was a yellman my senior year.
That's cool.
I'm extremely proud of it. My kids see the trophy that I have, you know what I mean? And they see the cheerleader, but it was a lot. It was a lot of friggin' work, man.
So hold on, I got to ask a question because I always bring it up. Was it that ROCKETS thing that you guys stomp your foot? And I'm sorry, but being an Anderson guy, that was the one thing. And I know all the McNick guys out there that I'm friends with and all that, but that was one thing that drove me nuts when I was on there. Is all of a sudden you hear ROCKETS.
Absolutely.
So you were part of that with the yellman then, right?
Yeah, we were going to let you know it, and we were right in front of the Rat Pack. It was called the Rat Pack. Yeah. If you walked into McNick's gym and you looked straight ahead, you would see the Rat Pack. And Coach Durger probably encouraged it. Kept it under control, but encouraged it. God rest his soul, Dave Becker, the AD, would stand there at the end and kind of give you the look, and you were smart enough to be like,
don't.
Okay. Like, guys would get fouled hard into us, and we're standing with the cheerleaders. You know what I mean? So, like, every time you've ever wanted to jump out of the stands at a player, I have the opportunity. He's sitting at my feet, right? Like, I can,
here it
kick
is.
this guy.
Yeah.
So, you had to really...
And then your rocket that used to, I remember that one time it used to like a little spark or something. I remember that.
In the corner, the smoke would come out.
Remember that?
Yes.
We would do that.
Smoke would come out, and we took a beating. You got to play in the GCL. You got to play the Mullers, the St. X, LaSalle's, and their cheerleaders are from Seton, Mount Macaulay, and man, did we take it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Did we take it? And man, did we love it.
Yeah.
I mean, we got the players are high-fiving us. Like,
I mean, it's nothing wrong. I mean, it's obviously it's just the same thing. Like at Anderson had we have the Redskin Rowdies or whatever they were, and all of them down at front. Probably it's the same thing. It's just we weren't involved with the cheerleaders as much, I guess. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing. But it is, McNick was always, as we'll talk about a little bit later, is a school that we love playing, but we hate playing them. It's kind of like the Anderson Turpin, Anderson McNick. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's get into football real quick. I think you and I were talking. You had Rodenberg, but did you say Alheim?
Alheim. So my freshman year at McNick, we were co-GCL champions. You had to play one crossover game. We were 9-0-1. We tied St. X.
Okay.
And if you remember, McNick used to have a field right next to the highway.
Yeah. Right.
It's now a parking lot.
Yeah.
We played them to a 12-12 tie. We had our chances to beat them.
You played games there?
Yes, our freshman year. That's where we played.
Oh,
games.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was packed, and people were driving by like, man, this must be a pretty big game. And then they look over, and we had St. X at home. Tied them 12-12. Awesome game. But 9-0-1 freshman year in the GCL, and man, we thought we were the cat's meow, and then everybody gets bigger, stronger, and I think I told you, we continued. John Rodenberg, my senior year, the one thing we continued was scheduling. Every coach at McNick was notorious for one thing: they didn't care who we played, what division they were. We weren't going back down from anybody.
Right.
So we played Turpin, Anderson, and we were bumped to my senior year. We were bumped to Division III due to like enrollment. This is 1995.
Right.
So we're bumped to Division III, but like our coaches are like, we're not adjusting any schedules. I hope you guys know that. So like we get to our first two-a-day, and we're like, okay, so we're still going to play at Taft, right? So then we're going to play at LaSalle. Mm-hmm. We're going to continue all these things.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, let's bring it on. I think I told you guys off air. Roger Bacon, Purcell, Dayton Kettering Alter, Dayton Chaminade, and Dayton Chaminade was a Saturday at Welcome Stadium. Hamilton Baden was a nationally televised game. Coach Malone going for his 600th victory. Do I think we got screwed out of that one? Yes, but it's on national TV, and they're not going to come back the next week for him. But it was great times. All great coaches.
So Heim was there, and then Rodenberg. I know was Heim. Wasn't he from Moeller? Did he come from Moeller? I can't remember where he came from.
Heim's.
I think
the Cincinnati Bengals. So his dad was the strength and conditioning coach, or had something to do, maybe the PR director. He had something to do with the Bengals, because I remember like he had a Bengals affiliate, because we had like Jim Lippincott come out and talk to us, and we had some Bengals come out and talk to us. And this is my freshman year, so you know what I mean? It might as well have been, Tom Brady talking to us.
That's right.
It was awesome. So I'm not sure where Alheim came from, but yes, Rodenberg, was a Moeller guy. And then McNick guy, and then
he ended up going back, and then he went back to Moeller,
and then went back to Moeller. I believe being inducted in their Hall of Fame this year. Wow. Indian Hill, all over.
He went to Indiana, somewhere in Indiana, and he won a state championship there. Really? And also at Moeller.
Wow!
So he won a couple state championships.
Oh yeah, great coach. Under him, you knew he would. It would just be a matter of time.
Yeah,
matter of time with John Rodenberg.
Who was the other guy? Oh, Markley. So Markley was already.
Yeah, I didn't have Coach Markley for baseball. So I had Jeff Henry my freshman year. I was actually cut my freshman year.
Okay.
Played for Midland my entire life, was cut. Okay. Just like Michael Jordan. I was like, okay, what can I do for the team? You know what I mean? I'm not Michael Jordan, obviously, but like I remember, so I kept score, hung around, because I knew I had to be ready for Midland in the spring.
Yeah.
And I can't just go 2 months with nothing, and I don't have any friends to throw with. They've all made the team.
Okay.
So I went around, kept the scorebook through batting. It ended up being the best thing ever, because it's basically what got me to where I'm at now. And then Jeff Henry was the coach. Bill Long, former big leaguer, was the pitching coach. They moved up to JV. So my second year, I was like, oh, great. The guys who cut me are moving up to JV. Yeah. Didn't matter. Didn't hold any grudges, anything. I switched from being a third baseman to a pitcher. Ascended very quickly. It was great. Great move. Ended up being the best thing ever happened to me. And then Chuck Corner was the varsity coach.
Okay.
And then 2 years later, was it 2 years or 3 years later? Corbin, not
Randy Corbin.
Willie
Corbin.
Yeah.
And they won a state title in 1998. Steve Joshworth, Andy I, a lot of guys. I played college baseball at Mount St. Joe University.
Okay.
Andy I, Steve Joshworth, a bunch of McNick guys came over. Tim went to Shawnee. We played them because Mount St. Joe when I first went there was NAIA. So we were playing NAIA schools and Division III schools. My sophomore year we were provisional Division III. And then, boom, junior, senior, Division III at Mount St. Joe University. So, my coach there was Chuck Murray, who was my former Midland coach. So that was a really easy transition.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Good. It was really, I was just recruited by very small schools, Capital, Heidelberg. It was the debate was, okay, I can go play right away because I know the coach. Yeah. The team's not that old there. Or I can get away from my parents. Yeah. And I was like, man, I think I really want to get away from my parents. And then I started thinking about, how am I going to put gas in my gas tank? Yeah. You know what I mean? How am I going to pay insurance on this car? Right. I think I want to stay home.
So there was no dorms then?
There were dorms at Mount St. Joe. I was just, again, our home field was Midland Field. So you have to imagine in 1995, my first year, Midland Field was just completed in 1993. Okay. So it was the Taj Mahal in Cincinnati. All
the Haydens took care of it.
Oh, you had indoor pitching mounds. You had batting, you had everything. So for Division III school, it made my decision that much easier because, okay, my parents can see me. I can live at home the second semester and save some money because we train out there all the time. They have everything out there that you possibly could need, right? And I would schedule all early morning classes. Second semester during baseball, we'd have 6 a.m. lifting, so you go really early, do the lifting, do the classes, come home, get something to eat, chill. I guess to use a good word from today, chill. Right. And then go to Midland, and train, and then be able to be home in 10-15 minutes. Where you drive back to the dorms, it's 45 minutes.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
I lived in the dorms. And then my junior year, I didn't technically pay to live in the dorms, but I lived with a guy named Schwander from Louisville. He was like, hey, you can come in, crash in here, and then it just became like at every.
That's funny.
I didn't technically write a check to Mount St. Joe, but I pretty much lived on campus.
You were there,
especially my junior year. Yeah, right.
That is awesome. Yeah. Well, we talked about Steve and I talked about how we would get all geeked up for the McNick and Turpin game, and our experience. We've let everybody know that we've had our guests, but talk a little bit about your experience with the Anderson and McNick games with you with baseball and football. Just talk a little bit. I mean, any other particular game that sticks out, or just kind of that whole
or Turpin.
Yeah. Well, there's not one particular game because they were all wars. Right. And what we talked about earlier was, so I played baseball for Midland. Tim Albers, Ellison, Trevor Ellis. Guys played for Town Properties in baseball. I was Guardian Angels for basketball. They were IHM or something. So you played each other in all these other sports, right? Football was, okay, here's the one sport where I legally can smack you in the head. Right? I can get back on some of my frustrations from that cheap shot this summer that I took or something, or I thought was it. So they were always battles just because, and again, at Guardian Angels, so Jake Andriadis, who played at Youngstown State, phenomenal running back.
Absolutely.
Phenomenal. I played the offensive line. You didn't have to block very long. It was almost like you just had to just get in their way, and Jake Andriadis was already by you. He was already by you. He was to the second level, and you just could stand up and watch him take off. Right. And then he doesn't go to McNick. He goes to Anderson, and I'm going to McNick.
Well, one of the main reasons is because I think all his brothers and sisters all went to Anderson. So there was no doubt he was going to Anderson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, Anderson. They whooped our ass. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
And then my parents were like, we're all meeting all the parents because we all grew up. Hey, we're drinking at Atis's. Wait, what? Wait. The guy ran. He rushed for 211 and 2 TDs. You know what I mean? And my jock's still on the field. And we're gonna go like have beers with his dad. But no, they were all great battles. Again, like Mike Gussick, who played Division I football at Illinois, was at Guardian Angels with us too, and then he went to St. X. And Jason Holt, our center, actually moved out to Wyoming. So again, things change. But I think playing all those guys in all those other sports, again, once you got to the football, man, not like the movie Varsity Blues, but there's something about Brown Stadium that is picturesque.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about when it's freezing cold and they run out of pretzels and hot chocolate. You know what I mean? And they're not going to the last game every time because they're not going to reorder because it's the last game.
That's right.
Or the first game where it's smoking hot. But like, man, when the sun comes down,
it's awesome.
In October over Brown Stadium.
Yeah.
The parking lot sits high.
Yeah.
You start walking down, and you never experience that as a player. Like you got to be a dad to go watch your son play.
Yeah.
And you look around, you're like, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah.
I mean, Turpin the same way. I mean, now you got to walk up that.
Well, and then you got McNick now with their beautiful stadium. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Penn Station
Super
Field,
nice.
TQL, ridiculous, doing well.
Yep.
Coach has that program going in the right direction.
Yep.
That's why I said, like what I said in the very beginning, we are so we're so blessed to live in the greatest city and then in township in the greatest city.
Yeah.
We take it all for granted.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Well, now, and I won't get too deep into this, but they've changed the divisions and for all the sports in high school, what level you're at based upon enrollment. But I would say, you look at McNick's new Taj Mahal football stadium, the level they're at now, and I'm not sure exactly if there are 3 or 4 for football, but I would bet that there's probably the biggest stadium that any opponent's going to come in and play at.
Absolutely.
At that, the level of the teams that they're playing. Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, there's no doubt about it.
Wow.
And just think about that when they were playing,
nice.
like he was saying, they were playing on Beachmont there. And I remember playing JV games on that field, and I thought I love that field because, like he said, it's right on Beachmont Avenue. People can see what's going on, and I loved it.
Yeah, and we never had a stadium. When I played football, Brown Stadium was our home field in Turpin, and that was Turpin's first year. And so, of course, you got to play Turpin. And so, like the first game we played on the field, I think his name was Glassmeyer. I was the center. He was a nose
Mike
tackle.
Glassmeyer, I think.
Oh man, he rung my bell like the very first play. I didn't get my head around. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to go across. Will Hoyt's trying to pull. The guard's trying to pull. I'm trying to get down. Boom. Welcome to Turpin's new field, right? Like the very first play, man, he rung my bell. Never forget it. Like, whoa, I remember walking back, and this is obviously way before the concussion. Like, man. Who is it? I remember looking back, like, somebody give me that guy's name. Like, you know what I mean? But
it's funny.
Yeah, so they've got it rolling. And McNick, their golf outing last year, they have the right people in charge there, too.
Yeah,
Schmitty does the most genius thing ever. They run a golf tournament, and they got to use 3 courses. There's so much interest.
Oh, my goodness.
And guess where the after party's at?
Where?
In the parking lot before McNick football game.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, like either he, like I told him, you either fell, backwards and the best idea ever, or this is genius.
Yeah. Wow.
Because, and again, I wasn't able to, golf that day, but I was able to get to the football game and hey, what are you doing here? I just came from the golf. I just came from the golf outing. Yeah. Now parking lots, G Zooey's.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
So you mentioned that you got to go play over at Mount St. Joe, which is very cool. I mean, as anybody knows, then and now, to go on and play in college is something special, especially your story, talking about being the Michael Jordan Jr. of getting cut freshman year, and then, it says something that the coaches, saw what you were doing, you wanted to be a part of it, and then it paid off for you. You got to go play in college. So after college, I guess baseball was over, you probably still continued to play, or what did you go on to do? Because I see you wearing your Midland shirt.
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to work in sports.
Okay.
I threw 82, not 92.
Okay.
Right, so one of the reasons that I committed to Mount St. Joe was they said, listen, we don't have a sports information department. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? And at that point, I was just lucky enough to be like, well, I know I don't want to work like in a cubicle 9 to 5. I want to do something sports related, right? So, okay, you come here and play baseball, okay? Baseball is actually an accredited course because you have to have 3, hours. So, okay, so you're going to get those. You don't have to take some other crazy class. And we're going to let you co-op in the sports information department. So, I got the experience that I needed.
Okay.
And I got paid. So
better.
Now I got to give up. You got to go to women's volleyball, and you got to do some things I don't know anything about. Like you want to learn them. You're I'm ignorant
it's foreign
to lacrosse.
To you. Yeah.
So, but that was great. And then, so to complete your degree, you're gonna have to do an internship. I had an internship set up with the Indianapolis Indians where they paid for your housing, okay, but you left all summer. Now, you gotta understand, in the 90s, internships, and my parents were like, what's an internship?
Right.
Like, listen, if I'm going to work in sports, I need to leave. I need to understand everything from the marketing department to the ticket department. I got to know everything. They're going to give me experience in all this. Not doing it. Oh boy. Through a friend of my mom, I got my internship with the Bengals.
Oh, okay.
And I only had to do it for a month. They never had an intern before.
Okay.
And I basically put like all their newspaper stuff to microfilm. And this is when the internet's just coming up.
Okay.
So Jeff Hobson is a writer.
Oh my God, great guy.
And Chick Ludwig.
Chick Ludwig.
Wow.
Sure.
I mean, it was a battle royale. The Cowboys beat writer now was the Bengals beat writer.
I don't know who that is.
Man, I can picture him in my head too. Todd Archer.
Okay.
Todd Archer. Anyway, so I do this internship for a month. And I think this is just going to land me a job, right? This is going to land me a job with everybody.
Yeah.
Doesn't land me a job. Okay, but I want to work in sports. So what I do is the Bengals come to me. Now I've graduated, but they're like, we have an interesting proposition for you. If you want to get more experience, like from a season standpoint, and what goes on in a season, and what it looks like to travel with the team, and what you have to do from a business standpoint, we're going to offer you an internship for the next season. Now, it's going to come with a catch. And Jack Brennan, love him, and PJ's now the head PR guy there, but there's a catch. It's not paid. So you're probably going to have to move back in with your parents. Now, if you've been in college, and you move back in with your parents, man, but all these books I read, how bad do you want it?
Right.
How bad do you want it? Okay, let me bite the bullet. Tell my girlfriend at the time, who's not my wife, hey, I'm going to move back in with my parents and do this unpaid internship with the Bengals, which is long hours, but man, I bet I'm going to learn. You got to do it.
Right.
So in 1999, man, I'm catching footballs for Carson Palmer.
Wow.
Jeff Blake and Scott Mitchell.
No kidding. Wow.
And man, I'm trying not to be a fan. You know what I mean? Because, hey, man, I got a job to do. I got a job to do. I'm also, 22 years old? Man, let me run a go route.
Right.
And you've got Carl Pickens, Darnay Scott. They're bombing them down there. Corey Dillon running through.
Yeah.
We had just drafted Brian Simmons, Takeo Spikes, Adrian Ross, all those guys, and unbelievable guys. So we go through the first mini camp. Then I go to training camp, and it's down in Georgetown.
Yeah.
And I live in the same complex as the players. And everybody knew when I was gone or when I was there because I drove a white Toyota Corolla, and then you're parking the same lot with all the players.
These big old
he's here or he's not here. So if they needed me, they knew they needed to call me. But if they saw my car, you just come to room 101. Behi will be there. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
Because I did in training camp all the interviews for the Bengals Insider and all the stuff that happens. During the season, you get done in training camp before the season, video clips, pictures, interviews. So, I had to interview players for their likes and dislikes and write a story. They're done well, and people don't understand they're done well in advance. And then the craziest part is traveling with the team. So if you travel to the West Coast, you left a day early to get acclimated, right? And people are like, man, that's got to be the greatest thing ever. Well, we played a 4:00 game in Seattle, okay? We win. Doug Pelfrey, by the way, drills one.
Right.
We win. Now, that's a 4:00 game back here, but it's a 1:00 game out there.
Right.
By the time you get the uniforms, the equipment, everything on the plane, you're basically taking a red-eye home. Oh. You don't even go home. You sleep at the desk for an hour or two because here comes the media, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the players have the day off, but they never really, no player ever takes a day off.
Yeah.
They come in and watch video.
Right.
You know what I mean? They get a lift in. They get therapy.
What an experience.
Oh, it was
At 22 years old.
Yeah.
And they hand you a menu. I've flown, I don't know how many times, and then you get on this plane, they hand you a menu, and you're hot or cold. Hey, do you want something and they were giving you king size candy bars and giant Gatorades and You know, what's everybody else having?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because football players, they'd have their own seat. You know, they just put you would just put the armrest up and they'd have like their own seat. So like Willie Anderson was behind me and then Rod Jones, I don't know if you remember, Rod Jones was to my left. And I just looked over like, man, well, what do we get? He was like, well, I'm going to get whatever you don't want. Like, I was like, well, then I handed the menu back and was like, yes, please.
Yeah.
I'll take all of it. So
how go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and then, while I was working for the Bengals, Midland, you know, having played with them, was looking for somebody to announce their games, run game change, do the scoreboard, and, you know, would you be interested in throwing batting practice? You know, not really a business manager type, but like, hey, okay, I get a little, you know, experience in baseball. Yeah. And the Hayden family's a great family to know.
Right. Yeah,
because not only do they know a lot of people, they're extremely generous. Yeah. Extremely generous. Yep. So I go out there, I do that, and then the following year, okay, my internship ends. I figure out what I'm going to do. 2 months later, Joe Hayden calls me, where are you at? I think I was in Southern Kentucky. He was like, I'm in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I need to talk to you. I can be there tonight. I get my car, I drive all the way down there, tell my wife at the time, like, hey, I'm now married. I got to give me Coach Hayden down in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. He's literally walking a cul-de-sac in front of the team hotel, and he's like, hey, I need a new general manager for Midland. You're gonna, Coach. You're gonna recruit the Redskins team. I never recruited anybody. I don't. You're gonna, you know, all the scheduling, all the uniforms, all the equipment, the host families. You're gonna run it all. Oh man, this is awesome. Wow. How do I do all this? You'll figure it out. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so. Yep, go to work for Midland. 2008 rolls around. Kansas City Royals come knocking. We want to send you to scout school in Arizona. So Mr. Hayden's like, yeah. Now, the catch is like, at this time, I'm telling every team who wants to know about every player. You want to know the ins, the outs of every player, what he's like on the bus, the hotel. They already know you can play. They want to know, like, what's this guy made of? Okay. You know, I'm about to invest a lot of money. Is this guy going to run off, or is, you know, is he going to swim? And Mr. Hayden's like, yeah, go for it. It'd be a great experience. So each team nominates 2 people. So I'm with a former big leaguer, Roosevelt Brown. Okay. A center fielder from the Cubs, from Mississippi. And he's my roommate. And you go to junior college games. You go to all. So the big one, though, is you go to the Diamondbacks Rockies game. Okay. You got to pick a player that you think. You know what I mean? And you can't pick, I can't remember who they were, but everybody was pretty much, you couldn't pick, like, I think Carlos Gonzalez, because he was kind of already a superstar for Colorado. Right. But I picked Troy Tulowitzki before this was Troy Tulowitzki, and, you know, wrote the report about him, and then, you know, Kansas City called me, like, I literally landed like 2 days later, hey, we want to bring you on as a salaried part-time scout. We don't want you to change anything that you do. We know you already traveled the country finding players from Midland. You're just going to tell us instead of telling everybody else. Okay. So, like, literally, I'm learning to write report. I go to scout school, how you scout a player, you know, what you look for, what you don't look, you know, people.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, wear a golf shirt, doesn't have your logo unless you want all the parents to come up and talk to you. Go stand by the students if you want to find out what that guy just did, like, this past weekend. Okay. There's so much more, like, you learned so much more than scouting than walking up with a radar gun. That was 95, right? So I did that, and then we go on that magical run 2014. You know, I mean, we're in the World Series. We're in the World Series. Man, we fall a little bit short. I get a call 2 months later. Hey, we need your ring size. We're getting you an ALCS ring.
Wow, that's awesome.
I'm like, you know, and now you think, you know, I've made it because, and really, I was riding a guy named Eric Hosmer who played for us at Midland, who I told the Royals, like. They asked me, I was like, I would go back to the Ricky Williams trade. This guy in the clubhouse, this guy is a player, this guy is I hate to use the word it factor. You know what I mean? He's just one of those steady guys. He never gets too high, he never gets too low. You would never know if he's 4 for 4 or 0 for 4. You got to take this guy. This guy's going to win you championships. And they took him, and obviously they took Moustakas, Jordan Ventura, Salvador Perez, other guys too. We make that magical run in 14. I get a ring, you know, like this is unbelievable. And every scout's contract is up October 31st. Now, it's not like because it's Halloween, it's just that just happens to be
how the cycle is.
Yeah, so all these scouts are on 1-year contracts, well, like the scouts would always like text each other, like, you nervous? You're gonna get hired? Like for me, I'm like, what am I gonna do? Go back to my, my full-time job? Like, I can't imagine us going to a World Series. Any of us is gonna lose it. So we all like, hey, we're all gonna make this run again.
Yeah.
I'm in Jupiter, Florida, and I told my wife for an amateur tournament with our Midland team, I said, listen, they win this game. You realize, like, I'm gonna drive through the night, grab a bag, and I'm driving to Kansas City to be out there for game 1. Because you know who they're going to play? They're going to play Matt Harvey in the New York Mets. And by the way, we housed Matt Harvey when he played for Midland.
No kidding.
The same year we housed Eric Hosmer.
Wow.
So we're like, it's like watching two kids fight out back, right?
Sure, yeah.
One of them, you're going to have to be the ear, to listen.
Right,
the other one, you got to be the shoulder to cry on.
Yeah.
I was like, what are the odds of this, getting struck by lightning and winning the lottery, in the same year? So Kansas City wins. Go out there, drive out there. I drive all the way. I pick up my brother-in-law, John Lowenstein, and I'm like, brother, there's not going to be enough coffee from Florida to here in Kansas City. We literally get to the hotel, throw our bags down, go to Kansas City, like walk in, and boom, like Kansas City, inside the park, home run, and boom, they hit Matt like right in the chin.
Oh my gosh.
And again, it's kind of, you see Matt Harvey's parents, you see Hosmer's parents, and then after that, we win the World Series. Got a World Series
ring.
Stayed on with Midland. Coach Hayden passed away, and I stayed on, as the general manager, to see it, to kind of see it through. And like anything else in life, things come along. Vanderbilt came along. This position does not exist yet in college baseball, but we want you to be the director of player development. Okay.
Wow.
What is that? Okay. What exactly do I do?
Yeah.
Basically all on-campus recruiting, you'll take care of, but you got to learn the NCAA rule book pretty quick. You know what I mean? So, went to Vanderbilt, director of player development. While I'm at Vanderbilt, a sports agency comes to me. Hey, listen, we don't need any more lawyers. We need scouts. We need guys who can find guys.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Wow.
Well, listen. But the catch is, we need you to move back to Cincinnati. Now, my wife is like, wait, that's the catch?
Yeah.
It's like, she's already got the bag. She's already got the bags packed. Like, hey, we're going back to Cincinnati, right? Okay, all right, because you got to be in a big league city. The Reds, big league airport.
So you didn't. So did you end up staying for the full year at Vandy, or did you?
I was there for basically only about 7 or 8 months.
Okay.
So I came in after the Christmas break, and then I stayed through the end of June just to make sure, in college you get out mid-May, right? So I made sure I stayed on.
Okay.
Everybody's in summer school. We're past the draft. We know what we got. Right. We're not leaving anybody high and dry. We're not leaving anybody high and dry. Yeah. Came back here and then just worked for an agency, and then a couple months ago, just out at Midland Field, scouting baseball players. They were like, we got to, what do you think about the state of baseball? Just like what we're doing right now, sitting around talking. Hey, this is where it's headed. Yeah. This is where it's headed. And they're like, we think we want to do that. Just like any business, either location or you got a better product. So we're going to become an academy. Like IMG, like P27, TNXL. Sure. There's none in the Midwest where kids can come and, learn half a day, develop half a day. And I mean, this, coach. Sure. You got basketball players. Anybody who does anything for 4 or 5 hours a day is bound to get better. Yep. Right? You're bound to get better. Yep. But we got to bring on a coach that's probably got some college ties. I've got some college and pro ties. Got to get a strength and conditioning coach. This is probably what you got to do to Midland to bring it up. And he's like, I'm going to do it all. I want you to come back. I want you to come back and help me start this academy. So
hold on. So give me the time frame again. So Vandy was in, what year was Vandy?
Vandy was 2015 and 16.
Okay, and then after that you went to.
I was an agent. Yep, for six and a half years.
Okay,
and I had some guys who played for Midland. And obviously I would go catch Midland games when I was back here between tournaments in the summertime. And the owner, Matt Shadow from Midland, lives in St. Louis. He happened to be in town. We were talking about this up in their press box. Like, man, you start an academy, because this is kind of where amateur baseball is going. Yeah. Right. And the big thing is with the transfer portal, post-grad is huge now. Okay. For the guy who needs that extra year, physical development, great, whatever the case may be, he needs that extra year. Yeah. So that's what an academy provides.
All right, well, so think just thinking about that. So how does that all work? You and I kind of were talking off air about you will play some of these schools, local high schools, right?
Yes.
But it doesn't count for that. How did you explain it to me again?
It's really, really crazy. So your degree, you need 20 credits from the state of Ohio. Your degree will come online. So if you're from Louisiana, Texas, and you come here, your degree now just comes from Ohio instead of your state.
Okay.
We help proctor tests, keep you going, school-wise. Everybody learns at a different pace, essentially. And you got to remember, you're not going to have a class of 100 guys.
Right.
So you need 5 or 6 teachers hovering over these guys, and that are also baseball guys as well. When it comes to the schedule, that's where we're unique, and any academy is really, really unique, because in Ohio, you get 30 games. Okay? Baseball, high school baseball in Ohio is very, very difficult, as you know, when the weather starts.
Sucks. Yeah.
You snow, bang it for 10 days.
That's right.
And moms and dads are sitting there like, okay, it hasn't rained in 4 days. Well, the field's still wet.
Doesn't matter.
You know what I mean? Like, well, it hasn't rained. So what are you going to do? You're going to not, you can't cancel your conference games. So all your non-conference games go out the window.
That's right.
The great part about an academy is when you playoffs, you could play the Moelers, St. X, LaSalle's, Andersons, Turpins. You play all the Division Ones. You could also play the Miami Valley Christian Academies, the Schroeder. You can play any schedule you want. The games don't count for them. So it's technically like if they wanted to schedule 33 games, and 3 games against us, those games do not count. So you have the ability to freely schedule within the state of Ohio.
But that'd be hard for those. To me, I'm just thinking out loud here. It would be harder for those schools like an Anderson, Turpin, McNick, whoever, to put it to the schedule, though, wouldn't it? I mean, like if they're trying to, because they're going to have to make all these conference games.
Well, they hopefully figure it out and the weather cooperates. And
there's 2 things. You know what I mean? When you're thinking ahead, one, we have a turf field now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So now you have 6 options in the city of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Do you want New Richmond? Do you want Moeller? Do you want Midland? You got 6 options. If it's cold or rainy like that, you're going to be able to play. And number 2 is one of the things that we've heard high school coaches talk about is when we go deep in the playoffs, okay, your team's already packed it up. Let's say Anderson and Turpin and McNick have all been eliminated, but West Claremont, or let's say Anderson's still in it, but Turpin, McNick, and West Claremont have been eliminated. Who are they going to scrimmage? Who are they going to play?
Right.
You know what I mean? To stay in shape.
I got you.
Hey, man, our kids aren't gone yet.
Right.
We're right here. Hey, guess what? We got a turf field, too.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to play rain or shine.
Yeah.
And so you said that about the teachers and stuff, and how. So do you have to get accredited teachers to come? I mean, like, how does that all?
You don't have to, but we will.
Okay.
So we'll have, I guess you call, was it a dean or a deaness if she's a
right? Yeah.
What's that? Students, a deaness.
Yeah.
Students, I don't know.
Person.
And then a lot of the coaches that we have. Well, the head coach is going to be Danny Hayden, who was the head coach at Miami of Ohio, Miami University for the last 10 years. And then his coaches also have education backgrounds.
I got you.
So again, you can't do the work for them. You're doing it all online. Right. Everybody kind of learns at a different.
And so you're just kind of there support, making sure they're doing their work, doing all that stuff, but then also with the baseball stuff too. So I get that now. I see how that works, and then so I mean, is this gonna happen? I mean, is this already like
at a point
like this year or next year?
This is going to happen in the fall of 2024. Have a strength and conditioning coach just put in a brand new weight room, turfing the field, outdoor turf, hitting tunnels. It's going to happen. The learning, I call them learning stations, but they're really what they are is like if you looked at a business office like
cubicles.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like everything's separated. They got these soundproof like walls, but they got like a box here where you can. It's got a USB cord. Right. It's got like all the plugs, so like you would see it at a college or a high school.
Where is this at?
It's at Midland Field in Batavia. It'll be at the complex. The cubes are already up. The learning cubes. Awesome. People are coming out, taking a tour, want to see what it's all about.
Wow.
Again, it's basically you're never going to get training or practice, however you term it, canceled, right? So if the weather's bad, well, I'm just going to train in the morning, and we can do classes in the afternoon. Well, it's a normal day. Okay, so class in the morning, lunch, baseball. Thunderstorms are rolling in. Okay, guess what, guys? We're going to do baseball first, from 8 to noon. Then you can have lunch. Then we're going to do academics.
That's kind of killer.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
And
what is it going to be called? Is it going to be called
Midland Baseball Academy? Just
okay.
Why? We were trying to think of crazy logos and crazy names, and we're like
MBA.
Getting your MBA, right? Midland Baseball Academy. Why change the colors? Why change the name?
No.
It's that. It's what people know. It's what they recognize.
Well, as you know, everybody knows Midland around the country.
Right. Yeah.
If you're anything involved in baseball,
you're officially the what I get? Would you be the dean or the? What would you be? Not the dean, but like the professor.
Dare I say superintendent, because that would be over like multiple ones, right? But I would say
director of operations,
business manager, general manager, whatever it may. I don't
pretty cool.
Good for you.
I don't even have a business card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
awesome.
I don't like any of that. Like, it's just, I'm a let's get to work guy.
Well, I mean, what a great run you've had, and you're really going to continue success.
I'm blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you can just hear his passion, his enthusiasm.
Absolutely.
How can you not be excited about it?
No, it's incredible to share these things. I think one thing that we always try to do to end this, and I'm sure you maybe have some. Give me a favorite memory from high school, and then one from college, and then one maybe give you a favorite teacher or coach. So let's start off with high school. What was your favorite high school memory? I should have warned you about this before.
Again, my favorite high school memory actually is not me playing. That's okay. I don't know. When our basketball team, what is that, the sectional final? I think we were up in Dayton. We hit a layup with like 2 or 3 seconds left. And I just remember, like, how sometimes, like, you just look, like, I look at Chris Wilson, man, and I see his eyes are just looking up like, man, we got 2, you know what I mean? Like, as long as they don't throw some Hail Mary, we don't get Christian Leitner here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're going to state. What high school athlete does not dream of going to state? Right. And I'm so happy for all of these guys, because of all the Kyle, your assistant Kyle Black, you're so happy for these guys. And man, we hit the layup. I think it was Dayton Bellbrook. I can't remember. But he breaks free from the right wing. Man, he takes 2. You know what I mean? He takes 2 steps, bounce pass, just perfect. Lays it up. And again, I'm right under the basket because I was a Yellman. So I'm right under the basket. I look up, and then I remember looking back at the court, and Chris Wilson's at half court down in his defensive position, but looking up. You know what I mean? He's already at the clock, and I'm like, yeah, man. And when I see him jump,
that's awesome.
I know it's
that's
on.
A great memory.
He jumps. You know what I mean? We bust the floor.
Yeah.
My best college memory. You had to be on the mound. Okay, so Division III is long bus rides, or those they jam you into like those small buses. So we go to Fort Myers for my sophomore year. Okay, we're playing a team called Eastern Mennonite out of Virginia, who at the time is ranked in the top 25. Okay, B, how you got the ball? Okay, let's go. We're a 2-2 tie in the 6th inning. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of wearing down here. And Joe Nichols is our pitching coach. Pitched at Florida State, Reds, all that kind of stuff. I get the bases loaded. I got their 3-hole hitter up. This guy's hit like rockets off of me all day. His 2 outs are loud, like a line drive right at my shortstop, and my center fielder like tracks one down like Willie Mays style, right? Yeah. His other one is, man, a rocket that I couldn't back up. I couldn't split the line between third and home fast enough. He had a rocket in the right center gap.
Oh my God.
So here it is, man, 1 out. Okay, I step back off the mound. My catcher comes out, Tom Bill, big, huge guy from Harrison. We're going to be all right. We're going to figure this out. Now, I'm thinking Coach Nichols has got the charts and stuff in the dugout, right? Yeah. So here he comes. He's going to tell me how to pitch it. I can't really think about, was this a breaking ball guy? Was this a changeup guy? Was this a fastball? Yeah. Was it in, out, up? I can't remember this guy, but all I know, this guy can really hit, right? And Coach Nichols comes out, man, and he looks around. He goes, hey, man, it's a hell of a situation. And I'm like, hey, man, so, like, Coach, what, I can't remember what's the sequence we want to run here. And Tom Bill, my catcher's looking up, and this is the adult figure in the room, so to speak, right?
Yep.
I'm looking up, okay, and like, how are we gonna do this? I mean, he looks back around, and he's like, hey, let's try getting out here. Pats me on the leg, let's try getting out here, and walks off the mound. And I remember my shortstop was Kyle Hensley, you know what I mean? From I think he went to Elder. Like, we're sitting there like Bull Durham. Like, what the hell just happened? What the hell just happened? We didn't learn a thing. Like,
oh my God, that's great.
You know what I mean? Like,
now what?
But we talk about it like at all your reunions. We talk about. I throw, I don't know, 70 miles an hour right down the middle. Guy hits a rocket right back at me. I somehow catch it. Pivot, throw to third, get out of it. Get out of the jam.
Nice.
Absolutely. And then a guy named Mark Schorsch comes up. He was a transfer from Cincinnati. He leads off with a double. Jason Kammer from St. X, who's still a coach at Mount St. Joe, comes up, hits, one right to the right side. We win.
That's a great memory.
Oh, it was just unbelievable because, then you go back to, I don't know what hotel you're staying at in Division III, Red Roof Inn, La Quinta, like whatever. La Quinta. Those outdoor ones, they're outdoor like in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Man, we were out, and we were outside, and years later at your reunion, when you're allowed to have alcoholic adult beverages, you're sitting around thinking like, do you remember? Like the infielders, Tom Bill, the catcher, Jeff Enneking, the backup catcher, myself, you know what I mean? Kelly Crawley went to LaSalle, was our second baseman. Robert Barnes from West High was our third baseman. And, our first baseman was from Milan High School, famous Hoosiers High School in Indiana. Guy knew Schwarner from Louisville in the outfield. Anyway, we all talk about, like, do you remember, like, not a play, not an outcome play, but, like, do you remember when Coach Nichols came out? Like, do you remember that?
Great.
Do you remember that?
Like it was yesterday.
That mound visit?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, Steve, that's what's going to be like for you when you win a national championship this year, and those guys are come back and say, hey, remember when Coach said in the timeout?
They already think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
So.
No. We don't want to know Chris Weber's now. We don't want to
That's right.
Well, let's not talk timeouts in like national championships.
That's right.
And then I'll tell you what, the great best memory I have, if I could just tell one really quick about Midland, okay?
Yeah.
I'm new into the job, early 2000s. I hear about this kid in Southern Georgia, Joe Hayden. Go get him. Go get him, sick him, right? The first guy I ever recruited for Midland was Homer Bailey, who told me yes, and then 2 weeks later called me back. I think I'm going to be a high pick. I'm not coming anymore.
Wow.
This is a tough blow. So a couple years later, fast forward, Joe Hayden, go get him. I got this on good authority about this guy. Now, this is before, the lookbooks and the social stuff. And, drive to Southern Georgia. Wow, this guy rakes. He's a shortstop. He can run, but this guy has got juice, man. I meet with him after the game. I will come play for Midland if you let my buddy come with me. Man, I don't do package deal. You know how that goes. I ain't doing a package deal. No way. You don't know Joe Hayden. You don't know Dave. You know what I mean? Like the coaches. I'm down here for that guy.
Right.
I say no. Dad calls. I'm going to tell you his name here in a second. You're going to be like, what in the heck? I'm not doing that again. Okay. Fast forward to the college season. Okay. The guy's going to be freshman of the year. It's Buster Posey.
No way.
Leesburg, Georgia. Southern Georgia. Mr. Hayden pulls me in his office. He's like, listen, B-High. They call Brian Hiler. They call me B-High.
Sure.
The next time a guy of that caliber ever tells you he wants to bring his friend with him, I don't care if it's his grandmother in a wheelchair. We'll put her on the foul pole line. You say yes. Fast forward 2 years. So Hosmer's like, hey, I got to bring a buddy with me if I'm going to come up. Done. Yeah. I'm assuming it's his grandmother in a wheelchair. Right. It's Devin Marrero who ends up being a first-round pick, like for 3 years. Went to Arizona State, first-round pick.
Oh my God,
stud! So like we talk about the package working out, and Joe Hayden forever for that
now
day
you do
was
package deals.
He was like, see, that's why you take package deals.
Wow.
So the first one I turned down. Now. Buster Posey was a shortstop at the time, not a catcher, but he wanted to bring his catcher, and his name was, I think, Ian Sebastian, and he was committed to Georgia. I think it was Georgia. I mean, this is way early 2000s. But yeah, the next time a guy like that says he's got a package deal, you say yes.
That is crazy.
The next guy to say that was a couple years later, Eric Hosmer. The rest is history.
That is crazy, man. Well, man, this has been awesome. We could probably go on for a couple more hours.
I know it.
Just talking about these stories. They've just been absolutely cool to talk about. And you obviously, like Steve said,
he's got a selection show to get to. He's got a selection show.
He's got that, but you've got things to do too. And I know that we appreciate you. I know we've been trying to figure out times to get this going. But I want to thank Scott Stroh-Schneider too for kind of hooking me up with you, and Jimmy Serger also, and because it's hard for us to get some of the names for the McNick guys and the Turpin guys. So anybody out there that has guys that they want to suggest to us, we really appreciate it, because it helps us too, because we get to know you guys a little bit more closer than what we did, and it's so I want to thank those guys. I mean,
and we love doing it.
Yeah, we do, and we love talking about these old memories, and it just brings up a lot of things. So,
well, again, on behalf of Anderson Township, and I think every athlete who's ever played and watches the show, just because you guys, obviously, Megan and her story, Megan Strong, that's unbelievable stuff too. You know, so we thank you. The sports, the human interest stuff that you guys do, can't put a price on it. So we appreciate you, and thanks so much for having me on.
We appreciate that. We can't wait to hopefully, we'll get back with you. He'll win a national championship, and then we'll get back with you, and we'll talk your
I'm coming back.
We'll do
He wins a national title, man. I'm coming back. I was sitting next to him right before the selection. This is what I'll be telling my kids.
Well, I need some of him to rub off on me a little bit.
So then we'll have we'll do like our celebration, but we won't have Fountain Square. We'll do it at what, like
Beachmont Ball.
Beachmont Ball. Yeah, we'll just do that. But
Lance Castle.
That's awesome, Brian. We really appreciate it again for joining us, and your son sitting here with us, watching this whole thing, and being patient. We appreciate that. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. So as always, want to thank everybody for watching This Week in Anderson. Again, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel or any social media outlets that we have out there. So for Dan Albers, Steve Ellis, and Brian Hiler, you've been watching This Week in Anderson. Have a good night, everybody.